The Taiwan Strait, a narrow waterway separating mainland China and Taiwan, embodies one of the world's most volatile geopolitical flashpoints. This strait, only about 180 kilometers wide at its narrowest point, has been a focal point of tension and strategic importance for decades. For over 7 decades, the relationship between these two entities has remained locked in a precarious balance, peace maintained through a combination of deterrence, diplomacy, and a shared history. The intricate dance of power and politics has seen moments of both cooperation and confrontation, with each side carefully navigating the other's red lines. However, the specter of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan looms large, raising profound questions about the future of Asia and the world order. The military posturing and frequent drills by both sides serve as constant reminders of the fragile peace that hangs by a thread. This essay delves into the potential consequences of such a conflict, exploring the geopolitical, economic, and human costs. The ripple effects of a military confrontation in the Taiwan Strait would be felt across the globe, affecting international trade, security alliances, and the global economy. At the heart of this issue lies the unresolved question of Taiwan's political status. The island's vibrant democracy and its citizens' strong sense of identity stand in stark contrast to Beijing's vision of reunification under the One China policy. While Beijing views Taiwan as a renegade province destined for reunification, Taipei asserts its own sovereignty, bolstered by a democratically elected government and a distinct cultural identity. This clash of ideologies fuels the ongoing tension, with each side unwilling to compromise on their core principles. This fundamental disagreement underpins the tense relationship, with China increasingly asserting its claim through military exercises and diplomatic pressure. The international community watches closely, aware that any miscalculation could lead to a catastrophic escalation. The potential consequences of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan are far-reaching and multifaceted. Beyond the immediate human toll, the economic repercussions would be staggering, disrupting global supply chains and financial markets. From sparking a global economic crisis to igniting a major power conflict, the ramifications extend far beyond the shores of these two nations. The strategic importance of Taiwan, particularly its role in the global technology supply chain, means that any conflict would have widespread implications. Understanding the complexities of this issue is crucial, as the choices made by China, Taiwan, the United States, and other key players will have profound and lasting impacts on the 21st century. The delicate balance of power in the Taiwan Strait is not just a regional issue, but a global one, with the potential to reshape the international order. To comprehend the gravity of a potential conflict, one must delve into the historical roots of the China-Taiwan issue. The seeds of this enduring dispute were sown in the aftermath of the Chinese Civil War in 1949. Following their defeat by the Chinese Communist Party, the nationalist Kuomintang government fled to Taiwan, establishing a separate government. For decades, both sides claimed to be the legitimate government of all of China, resulting in a prolonged period of political and military confrontation. However, the latter half of the 20th century witnessed a gradual easing of tensions, with both sides shifting their focus towards economic development. Despite this thaw, the fundamental disagreement over Taiwan's status persisted. The rise of China as an economic and military power in recent decades has further complicated matters. Beijing has become increasingly assertive in its claims over Taiwan, raising concerns about its willingness to use force to achieve reunification. Understanding this historical context is essential to grasping the deep-seated emotions and complex political calculations that underpin the current situation. The legacy of the Chinese Civil War continues to cast a long shadow over the Taiwan Strait, serving as a stark reminder of the potential for conflict and the importance of finding a peaceful resolution. China's unwavering stance on Taiwan stems from a confluence of historical narratives, strategic calculations, and domestic political considerations. For Beijing, the reunification of Taiwan holds immense symbolic significance, representing the completion of a historical mission, the restoration of China's rightful territorial integrity after a century of humiliation at the hands of foreign powers. Beyond symbolism, Taiwan's strategic importance to China cannot be overstated. Situated at a critical juncture in the first island chain, Taiwan holds the key to China's maritime security. Control over Taiwan would grant China unfettered access to the Pacific Ocean, breaking free from the geographical constraints that have historically limited its naval power projection capabilities. Moreover, Taiwan's advanced semiconductor industry, a linchpin in the global technology supply chain, makes it a valuable asset in China's pursuit of technological self-sufficiency. Acquiring Taiwan's chip manufacturing prowess would bolster China's economic and military capabilities, potentially altering the balance of power in the region and beyond. Furthermore, the issue of Taiwan serves as a potent rallying cry for Chinese nationalism. The Communist Party has skillfully leveraged this sentiment to consolidate domestic support and legitimize its rule. Any perceived weakness on Taiwan could undermine the party's authority and potentially spark social unrest. Section 4. The Global Stakes Geopolitics of an Invasion. A Chinese invasion of Taiwan would send shockwaves throughout the international system, triggering a geopolitical earthquake with far-reaching consequences. The delicate balance of power in East Asia would be upended, and the reverberations would be felt across the globe. The ramifications of such a conflict would extend far beyond the shores of East Asia, reshaping alliances, igniting trade wars, and potentially plunging the world into a new era of great power rivalry. Countries around the world would be forced to reconsider their foreign policies and economic strategies in response to the new geopolitical landscape. The United States, bound by the Taiwan Relations Act to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself, would face immense pressure to intervene militarily. This commitment would not only test the resolve of American leadership, but also strain its military resources and diplomatic relations with other global powers. Such a move would risk a direct confrontation between the world's two largest economies and military powers, with the potential for a catastrophic escalation into a global conflict. The stakes would be incredibly high as both nations possess significant military capabilities, including nuclear arsenals. Furthermore, an invasion would force other regional powers such as Japan, South Korea, and Australia to reassess their security postures and potentially choose sides in a conflict that could reshape the Indo-Pacific. These nations, with their own strategic interests and security concerns, would have to navigate a complex web of alliances and rivalries. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, caught between its economic reliance on China and security concerns, would face an excruciating dilemma. The member states would have to balance their economic interests with the need to maintain regional stability and security. Beyond the immediate military and political ramifications, an invasion would shatter trust in the international rules-based order, emboldening other revisionist powers and potentially triggering a cascade of territorial disputes. The principles of sovereignty and territorial integrity, which underpin the current international system, would be severely undermined. The global economy, heavily reliant on trade and stable supply chains, would experience severe disruptions, leading to economic hardship and potentially a global recession. The interconnected nature of modern economies means that the impact would be widespread, affecting everything from stock markets to everyday consumer goods. Section 5. The Economic Fallout. A costly endeavor. The economic consequences of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan would be swift and devastating, inflicting significant pain on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. The immediate impact would be felt in the form of disrupted trade routes and halted production lines. The shockwaves would reverberate throughout the global economy, causing stock markets to plummet and investor confidence to erode. The interconnected nature of global supply chains means that no country would be immune to the fallout. The technology sector in particular would be hit hard. The region is a critical hub for the production of semiconductors and other high-tech components. A conflict here would lead to severe disruptions in the supply chain, affecting everything from consumer electronics to automotive manufacturing. China, heavily reliant on Taiwan for high-end semiconductors essential for its electronics and military industries, would face crippling supply chain disruptions. This would not only impact its technological advancements, but also its economic stability. The ensuing economic slowdown would exacerbate existing challenges within China's economy, including rising unemployment and a growing debt bubble. The social unrest that could follow would add another layer of complexity to an already dire situation. Taiwan, a major exporter of electronics and other manufactured goods, would see its economy grind to a halt as trade routes are disrupted and foreign investment evaporates. The island's economic lifeline would be severed, leading to widespread economic hardship. The human cost of conflict, coupled with the destruction of infrastructure and capital, would have a devastating long-term impact on Taiwan's economic prospects. Rebuilding would take years, if not decades, and the scars of war would linger. The global economy, already grappling with inflation and supply chain bottlenecks, would be thrown into turmoil. The disruption of trade routes would lead to shortages of essential goods, driving up prices and causing economic instability worldwide. The disruption of semiconductor production in Taiwan, a critical node in the global tech supply chain, would have ripple effects across numerous industries. This would lead to shortages, price hikes, and economic contraction, affecting everything from smartphones to medical devices. Moreover, the conflict would likely trigger a wave of sanctions and counter-sanctions, further disrupting trade and investment flows. Countries would be forced to realign their economic policies, leading to a more fragmented and less efficient global economy. The ensuing uncertainty and volatility would stifle economic growth and potentially plunge the world into a prolonged recession. The economic landscape would be reshaped, with long-term consequences for global prosperity and stability.